SCVs at this point. Bisu still being annoying with that probe, trying to kill some SCVs. We're going to see what actually manages the Vulture in place to take care of that probe, though. But not really seeing... Bisu would have to make a horrible mistake. Does have robotics facility, though, so Reavers could be incoming. I think one Reaver at this point will pretty much finish the game. We're going to see what happens.
Yeah, Fantasy is getting his macro up to compete with Bisu, but he's sacrificing pretty much everything else to do it. He's not going to have a huge troop on the ground, and Bisu's certainly going to have a bigger military here soon. Bisu took that mineral only, and I think Fantasy's going to try to sneak this Vulture in. This is pretty smart from Fantasy. This is probably what he had in mind before the epic cheese grinded his economy down to a fine pulp. But, yeah, he's going to try to adapt his strategy here and get in. I don't know what the hell that is, honestly. But he's getting in his Vulture, laying a mine there because he anticipates that Bisu is going to come in with the Dragoon to help this. Or maybe actually spotted that Dragoon, and now it looks like Fantasy's probably going to... Oh, that Vulture was low on health, so Fantasy did come in to try to get some probe kills, but that was fended off by that Dragoon. And now Fantasy's poor Vulture has to sit there alone for a long time until he gets dropships. Looks like he's trying to push the front here. Bisu breaking through, so Bisu can move all of his troops out at the same time here. And yeah, Bisu is coming out with a massive army, well, comparatively to Fantasy's. And Fantasy is trying to get lucky with his mines, but Bisu knows Fantasy. He knows Fantasy's play. A lot of Vultures and a lot of mines. And he's still stuck at one factory here. Building his starport, finally going to get those Vulture drops in, but it could be way too late, I think. Bisu's coming out and trying to do a little bit more mine clearing, and Reaver Tech is coming, you were right. Gateway's coming up as well for Bisu. And, yeah, the first shuttle out here. This is pretty much over. All of the tanks actually out for Fantasy. I was wondering if he had anything at the front to fend this off. I don't think he has siege range upgraded, or siege tank. Siege upgraded yet, but he is coming out with a couple of Vultures, trying to play creatively. Oh, Bisu running right into two mines. Oh, Bisu. I mean, even though he did that, I think he still has the advantage here, but yeah, Bisu actually put down a third base, so Bisu might not have the ton of troops that I thought he did comparatively to Fantasy. Of course, Fantasy trying to do a little bit of a push here, put a little bit of pressure on, but yeah, Bisu playing very risky there, going for that third base, but he is going to out-macro Fantasy here. Oh, coming in with a Reaver to take out the non-siege upgraded tanks. Fantasy falling back, trying to take out one Zealot. He does take out one Zealot. Oh, man, Scarabs!
Ooh.
Oh, no. Poor Fantasy. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, no, another Scarab. Oh, God. Oh, God, those poor SCVs. Taking down a few SCVs. Oh, man.
Yeah, just beautiful play by Bisu at this point. And okay, getting a mine drag almost into him, taking out the final tank. Reaver gets killed by a mine, unfortunately. So Bisu's constant harassment is going to stop a little bit, but he still has Dragoons coming in, and Fantasy has, well, let's see, nothing. He has a starport which he put up, which I assume he was trying to go for drop tech. Is surrounding these Dragoons pretty well, so he's going to be able to clear them up. Does have a tank coming up, but Bisu has already another force, a huge number of Dragoons ready to come in. Has more observers to help support him there. But Fantasy's still in a horrible position. Has only a tank alongside a Vulture on the ground to help him. He needs to put up some mines ASAP, but still they're not going to be able to stop Bisu. Bisu trying to expand the upper right hand, trying to take the 2 o'clock. But going to be prevented, so instead he's going to take the inside 3 o'clock. It's very close to the middle, but at this point Bisu's pretty safe in holding it because of the constant pressure that he's now putting on Fantasy. Fantasy in horrible position, pulling his CVs off the line. Does have siege for his tanks, finally. So he's managing to siege those Dragoons as he forces them away with SCVs, but losing so many SCVs. Barracks comes down, more SCVs come down to the national expansion, but nothing really much. He's fending his Dragoons off, barely, just still 5 Dragoons alive though, finally now moving in close to the tank. Are going to take it out. Tank is fought violently, does not manage to get a final siege shot off before it dies. One more tank coming in to reinforce, but nothing really for Fantasy. He actually pops a Marine to try to help himself, producing more Marines, just trying to stay alive as long as possible. Mine almost getting dragged into those forces, nothing happening. 3 Dragoons still staying alive, 1 going to melt there. So if he's trying to desperately repair the tank, it's probably going to siege up on the ramp, but Fantasy, his entire natural expansion getting completely massacred. You see some fangirls there sitting and being all worried, but Bisu's going to Wow, you can tell that he already has the forces, adding in even more gateways, and just getting ready with that third base. Reavers, as soon as the Reaver is on the way, as soon Bisu has another Reaver on the way, Weapons 1 also upgrading. As soon as that Reaver comes in, that's going to be it. He also has an Observer floating above Fantasy's base, so the Scout is going to be complete. Dropship on the way for Fantasy, so it's kind of his last-ditch effort, try to do some economic damage. I think Bisu canned up his new inside 3 o'clock below, and Dragoons and Zealots running right towards the location, so this is going to be horrible. Fantasy not going to manage to do any sort of harassment anywhere, I'm guessing.
To Fantasy's credit, he has been defending very well, but that's pretty much what Bisu wanted. Bisu can play like a Zerg player right now, just throw in all of his units and then macro up at the same time. Play like a modern Zerg, like effort, basically. Oh, that poor Dragoon gets surrounded, and it looks like Fantasy's actually going to get a little bit of economic harassment done here, but I don't think it matters, because Bisu, he's taking so many bases. I think he's going to take another base up there at the 2 o'clock, actually. And Bisu doing some nice shuttle play here, dragging the mines, and taking out all of the troops here for Fantasy. Fantasy doing some dropship play to take out these troops, and Fantasy might actually be able to take this little engagement. Drops more vultures down here, so this is actually pretty good play from Fantasy. It's a shame that there was so much damage done to him earlier in the game, because he's really showing his level of play here, which is just excellent, getting a lot of probe kills, sneaking around here, getting probe kills, and some excellent dropship play from Fantasy recently. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be able to show it off in this game. Bisu is pushing in once again, only 2 siege tanks and a couple of vultures here to defend. Looks like Fantasy has gotten up his SCVs, but I don't think it's going to be enough. He's defending very well here, repairing that bunker that has a couple of Marines in it. He's actually defending this. It's absolutely insane, but Bisu just has an overwhelming force here. He still has Dragoons in. Fantasy's still repairing, even though I think a Reaver is coming into play soon. Nope, it looks like BC only had a couple. Oh my! They're into attack, everything exploding. Oh, the end of the world. Yeah, I think that Fantasy has definitely lost this game now. Bisu can just rally point all of his gateways and be able to take this out eventually. There's no way that Fantasy can keep up production enough to defend this, even though he's repairing that bunker for like 5 minutes. That's it. GG from Fantasy, and Bisu moves on.
So Bisu moving on to the round of 8, surprising a few people, I'm guessing. Most people were guessing that Fantasy would take this, myself included, actually. But now proving himself why he's ranked the 3rd best player overall in wins in the Pro League, but actually by most people thought to be the most solid player in Pro League because he has the least amount of losses of the top 10, I believe, despite having, like, what, 50-something wins. But yeah, now he's taking a little bit of rest from Pro League, not for long. Well, actually, yes, for long, because he has to wait for the entire playoffs to stop playing, and he's got his nifty Bruce Lee-esque ass knocked out of the OSL. So, yeah, I think, right?
Did you say OSL?
Yes, I said OSL.
Yeah, he's out of the OSL. Poor Bruce Lee.
Oh well. But finally, Fantasy and Beast are actually talking like teammates. Like after the first game, they weren't even in the same room. It was all very awkward. But now they can actually talk. All right, you beat me, fair and square, fine. You better win the damn tournament so I don't look like an idiot, though.
Exactly. Of course, Fantasy is still in the OSL, and he's still a dominant presence in the OSL, so I don't think he feels too bad about this loss.
You know, maybe we might have an SK player on each side getting somewhere far. I think that's Kingdom there in front of his players. So yeah, both these guys moving up in their respective tournaments, and it feels that way certainly because OSL is definitely more Fantasy's tournament, while MSL is more Bisu's turf. We're going to see whether Fantasy actually manages to get a title this time, and whether Bisu manages to get yet another MSL title. It's going to be hard because he has some pretty decent players that he could be facing off against. Pretty sure he's facing off against Jadong in the round of 8. I'm not absolutely positive, but I think that is the case. And if even if he manages to take down Jadong, which I think he's going to have a insanely hard time doing, he's also going to have effort as an obstacle. So who's playing very hot right now? So we're going to see what happens overall. This MSL is absolutely stacked, aside from Kanata. So, Nuke, thanks again for joining me. Been 2 pretty decent games. GG guys, wrenching out, Nuke out. Thanks for listening, and hope you enjoyed. See you in the round of 8, because the round of 16 is done.
GG.